You did it this morning, you'll probably do it again tonight. You don't even think about it. But if you'd done it the way your ancestors did, the exact same way for 300,000 years, there's a real chance it would kill you. The thing they wiped with would get you arrested in some countries today. They had no paper, no door, no privacy. And the way humans handled their own waste ended up killing more people than most of the wars in the history books. I'm Nurlan. I spent a weekend going down the single strangest rabbit hole of my life, reading actual scientific papers about fossilized human poop. That's a real field of science. It has a name. And what those fossils show quietly rewrites the story of how we got sick. So let's talk about the toilet. And I promise you, you have never thought about it like this. Start with the hardest fact to accept. For almost all of human history, the toilet did not exist. Not a bad toilet. 0 toilets. For roughly that entire stretch, every person who ever lived just went on the ground, wherever. The oldest human poop ever found on this planet isn't even ours. It's Neanderthal. 50,000 years old, pulled out of an old fire pit in a cave in Spain. A team studied it molecule by molecule, and it broke a myth. We always pictured the Neanderthal as a pure meat-eating brute. His waste says otherwise. He ate plants, a lot of them. And here's the part that should crawl under your skin a little. Inside that 50,000-year-old mess, they found the DNA of gut bacteria, the same bacteria living inside you right now as you watch this. Your gut is older than your species. Want the oldest trace of any human being in all of the Americas? It's not a skull. It's not a spear point. It's a lump of dried human poop from a cave in Oregon. 14,300 years old. Older than the culture we thought came first, and it started academic wars that dragged on for years. Grown scientists fighting over a fossil turd. So what did they wipe with? Now I have to be honest with you, because this is where plenty of videos lie. We don't actually know. Moss, leaves, fur, none of it survives 50,000 years. So researchers reconstruct it from the tribes we can still watch today and from simple logic. A smooth stone, a handful of moss, leaves, a shell, water, and your left hand. That's the oldest method on Earth, and half the planet still uses it. And if you lived in the far north in winter, when there was no moss and no leaves, snow. You wiped with snow. Sit with that for a second. Could you? Tell me down in the comments. Honestly, could you wipe with a handful of snow? Here's what almost nobody tells you about any of this. It was never private. It was social. Relieving yourself was a group event with rules, and breaking them had a price. Go to Çatalhöyük in modern Turkey 9,000 years ago, one of the first towns humans ever built. Houses packed together like a honeycomb, no streets between them. You climbed in through a hole in the roof. And the toilet? It was a garbage heap right next to where the whole family slept and ate. The entire village went in the same pile by the front door. We know this for a fact because that pile fossilized, and it's full of parasite eggs. It gets stranger. In many tribes, people believed your own waste could be turned against you. A sorcerer could curse you through it, the same way they could through your hair or your nails. So you didn't just go anywhere, you hid it, you buried it. Not out of manners, out of fear. And who was even allowed to go near whom was decided by rank and by blood. Among some peoples, a father-in-law and his son's wife were forbidden from using the same spot. Personally, I think that's the detail that makes it real. Even this, the most basic animal thing there is, humans wrapped in status and shame. Now one jump forward in time, because this contrast is too good to skip. Ancient Rome. The public toilet. 20, 40, 60 seats in one long row. No walls, no stalls. People sat shoulder to shoulder and had conversations. And to clean up, there was one sponge, on a stick, shared. You wiped yourself with the same sponge 100 strangers had used before you that day. And when a Roman really hated someone, the story goes, he'd reach for a broken shard of pottery with his enemy's name scratched into it. That last part scientists still argue about, but the shared sponge is real. Seneca wrote it down. Be honest with yourself for a second. Would you have used that sponge? Now the real turn, the part that actually matters. Because here's the twist you don't see coming. For most of human history, we were healthier than the people who came after us. Think about the nomad. He had a genius sewer system, and it was this. He walked away. Small groups, always moving. It all scattered across the land and got left behind, and the parasites never had time to catch up. Moving on was the flush. Then we settled down. We built villages, and we started living inside our own filth, and it nearly destroyed us. Back to Çatalhöyük. When researchers analyzed those packed little houses, they found human and animal waste worked right into the walls and the floors. And up to 1 in 3 of the earliest skeletons there carry the scars of infection on their actual bones. The moment humans stopped moving, the worms moved in. The first solid proof of a disease of civilization is 8,000-year-old poop packed with the eggs of a 5-centimeter gutworm. And it got worse, because farming didn't just feed us, it built new diseases from scratch. Researchers pulled Salmonella DNA out of skeletons 6,500 years old and watched it evolve, pushed by our crowds and our herds, into a killer of humans that is still with us today. Tuberculosis needs a crowd to survive at all. It can't live anywhere but inside a human body. The dense, dirty village handed it exactly what it needed. And the thing that actually did the most killing wasn't a dramatic plague. It was dirty water. Plain diarrhea, from sewage leaking into what people drank. And it came for the babies first. So here's why the most natural act in the entire world eventually became a crime. Right now, today, unsafe sanitation kills around 560,000 people every single year. That's the World Health Organization's number. So countries banned it. In parts of India, there are fines for doing out in the open the exact thing every one of your ancestors did, freely, for 300,000 years. And Rome, with all its famous sewers and marble baths, the Great Clean Empire? A myth. When you count the parasites, they didn't go down under Rome. They went up. So, back to you. The paper on the roll, the door that locks, the clean water in the tap. All of it is younger than your great-great-grandparents. For 300,000 years, this one boring thing you do every day was public, dangerous, and sometimes deadly. And the oldest fear a human being carried to the end of their life wasn't death. It was the day they lost control of their own body. The day somebody else had to clean them. That fear is older than farming, older than the wheel, and you are still carrying it right now. So tell me down in the comments, could you actually do it? Wipe with a stone, with moss, with snow? Would you last one single week in that village at Çatalhöyük? I read every single one. I'm Nurlan. See you in the next one.